Welcome back inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. Chris, we've had our bye week, we've had our rest, and so have the Patriots. Tom Brady looked pretty well rested when he got back to the podium and spoke to us here at Gillette Stadium on Wednesday. Your thoughts about what his focus is coming out of the bye week, and most importantly, trying to stay on the roll he was on heading into the bye?
I think so much of it is wrapped up in a good, fast start for this team, particularly in the offensive side of the ball. The Colts are one of the best teams in the league. When you're talking about first quarter defense, they've only allowed 13 first quarter points over the course of the first 9 games of the year, first 8 or 9 games of the year. Those are some really good numbers. And I think one of the points of emphasis the last couple weeks has been quick starts, has been able to take the fight to the other team right out of the gate. Obviously, fast starts are always stressed, but I think it's going to be a real point of emphasis for this team this week. Make the Colts play from behind, put that challenge in their heads.
It feels like it's been a month of Sundays since the Patriots were last on the road. There's good reason for that. It has been a month of Sundays. The Patriots last were on the road in Buffalo. They won that game, but before that, everybody remembers what really started this roll, and that was the disaster in Kansas City. Some of the lessons I think the Patriots have learned, namely what you mentioned a moment ago, was getting off to a fast start. I think they've solved that pretty well. The other has been getting Rob Gronkowski healthy. That was not in their control really in the first 4 weeks, but ever since they've really gotten Rob Gronkowski going, I think he's certainly in the field top 5 of MVP candidates in the NFL so far this year. I know you've written that. Your thoughts on what it is to keep Rob Gronkowski on the roll he's on?
I think when you're talking about the matchup, specifically this week between the Patriots and the Colts have really struggled when it comes to containing average tight ends. Not even good tight ends, but average tight ends. Tight ends like Zach Ertz and Delaney Walker have really posted good numbers against this Colts team. I think that's one of those matchups to look for this week. It's a very winnable matchup for New England. Look, you're talking about a guy in Gronkowski who is at the absolute peak of his powers right now. 30-something catches over the last 5 games. An undeniable impact across the board. He takes guys with him, double and triple coverage. And right. I think that guys like Brandon LaFell and Julian Edelman benefit. I think if the Colts decide to throw a lot of bodies at him this week, I think that's one of those things to look for. Look for a big week for LaFell, Edelman. They have a very good group of cornerbacks in Indianapolis, but I don't think they have the kind of defenders who can match up very easily with Gronkowski.
Also like to tip the hat to our friends at Pro Football Focus. We were writing earlier this week, I wrote about the blitz pressure that Chuck Pagano and his Indianapolis Colts throw at the opposition. Last year it was somewhat high. It was ranked 9th in the NFL at 33%. This year, I showed you the stat off camera, it blew my mind. 41% of the time they are blitzing the quarterback. That can be good and that can be bad. I think against Tom Brady, Brady can usually eat you alive if you're not careful.
You're really rolling the dice if you decide to do that against Brady, because history tells us that Brady more often than not is able to find the wide open receiver. Now, this is a team at the same time that's occasionally struggled over the course of the year with those blitzes, with those extra rushers. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots decide to maybe counteract that. You can look at more 2 tight end sets with whether it's Wright or Human working in concert with Gronk. You can look at more work from someone like James Devlin, but the Patriots do have to figure out a way. If the Colts do decide to bring extra rushers, they have to find a way to counteract that.
And I think that's one of the areas, frankly, Chris, that Tom Brady has excelled in, and one of the reasons for his resurgence in the middle part of this season is his recognition of those blitzes at the line of scrimmage early on. His pre-snap reads have been outstanding, and when you have combined that with the fact that he's much more comfortable in the middle of that pocket, moving around inside the pocket, you see a much more confident and much more effective Tom Brady.
We're starting to see the kind of quarterback that we saw over the last 4, 5, 6 years when it comes to pocket awareness. We really didn't see much of that over the first 4 or 5 games. Ever since then, Brady has displayed, I don't want to call it being excessively nimble, but he's shown an ability to move in the pocket that we didn't see earlier in the season. A lot of times, he has proven to be his best offensive lineman. We've said that before in the past, with his ability to understand where the rush is coming from. Move left, move right, and adjust accordingly in the pocket. We've seen more of that over the last couple of games. He's going to need to prove that again this week against the Colts.
I know Bill Belichick talked about one of his favorite players earlier in the week, and that's Adam Vinatieri. He hasn't missed a field goal this year, I believe, is the statistic. And Belichick very aptly said on Tuesday, nobody's kicking better than he is in the National Football League. What could Adam Vinatieri's impact be on this game?
You're looking at really a matchup of 2 great kickers, because Vinatieri is still doing it at a very high level, 20 for 20.
Right.
Now, he's kicking indoors, so it's a little bit different than kicking out here at Gillette Stadium and what Stephen Gostkowski's been able to do. These two kickers are the only two guys in the league who have attempted at least 20 field goals who have a success rate of 95% or more. This is a great matchup between two very good kickers. I think if it was a little bit more of a tighter game, I don't think it's going to be a tight game, but if it was a tighter game, I think that obviously those guys come into play and those kinds of situations come into play. We saw that before the bye week. Special teams played a very big role in New England's win over Denver. I think when you're looking at special teams this week, it's a fairly even matchup, but again, you don't want to be caught in a tight game with a possibility of Adam Vinatieri trying to beat you.
All right, let's talk about the venue that the Patriots will be playing at, Lucas Oil Stadium. Of course, the Patriots have not won there in 3 tries, 2 of which are the regular season against Peyton Manning and the Colts, and the 08 and 09. Last time the Patriots won in Indianapolis was back in the undefeated regular season of 2007. They beat Peyton Manning in that come-from-behind win 24-20. Of course, the last time they were at Lucas Oil Field, not very good memories. That's a game Rob Gronkowski almost won it at the end on a bum ankle, almost broken ankle. Obviously, the loss Super Bowl 46 to the New York Giants. What are the keys to handling the crowd noise inside one of the louder venues in the NFL?
Take them out of the game early. Like we talked before, a fast start, I think, for a couple of reasons, is absolutely paramount when you're playing the Colts. Not only you put them back on their heels, this is, like I said before, it's a very good first quarter team, but you take the crowd out of it. I think that plays a big role in this game. I think really you can neutralize that crowd. It's not like the old place. The old place, the RCA Dome, a little bit more claustrophobic. The lower ceiling, the benches,
and hotter.
Exactly, hotter. The benches, we're right back up against the stands. This place is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more open. You get more of a field house feel to it, so it's not as loud. It's not as intense as the old place. It can still get pretty loud, but at the same time, we're not talking about RCA Dome, Hoosier Dome kind of loud.
You rested?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for ready for the final push this year. This is when, and Brady has said it a number of times, this is when the real football starts. And so, it gets your heart racing a little bit more, it gets the blood pumping, ready for really the final push toward the postseason.
It really should be exciting, Chris, because we've got a great stretch of games coming up against, obviously, starting with the Colts. Then you have the Detroit Lions, who I think are playing as well as anybody in the NFC, maybe save for the Arizona Cardinals and perhaps the Philadelphia Eagles. Then you have obviously the San Diego Chargers at the end of this run.
As well as the Packers.
And the Packers on the road at Lambeau Field before San Diego. It's going to be an exciting run.
It really will. And I think we're going to know a lot about this team. We know we struggled, as a group, they've struggled on the road against teams that ended up making the playoffs. And we talked about that earlier. We're going to know a lot more about this team because I think we've seen a really good progression from them to this point in the year. They struggled over the first 4 games. They kind of, figured out what worked and what didn't. Over the last 5 games, they've taken a huge step forward, a seismic leap forward as opposed to where they were over the first 4 games. Now the challenge is for them to go on the road and beat playoff-worthy teams on the road. If they can continue to make those progressions, if they can continue to execute the same way they did the 2 games before the bye, there's no reason to think that they won't be able to do that.
All right, the Patriots have done very well in the spotlight so far this year, winning, obviously, that Thursday night game against the Jets, beating the Cincinnati Bengals to get on the roll on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, a primetime type of situation, beating Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Let's see how the Patriots now respond against Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. It should be a fascinating game. Yours truly, along with Christopher Price, will be on site at Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis to bring you all of the coverage on WEEI.com. Christopher Price, is always a pleasure, my friend. I'm Mike Petraglia, inside Gillette Stadium, WEEI.com.